Hello, and welcome to the Peachy Pussy Podcast, where female pleasure is our path. Host Sarah Michelle, and I am a sex, love, and intimacy coach. Today, I'm here with Marcy Harris-Ortiz. She's the owner of the Coterie in Columbus, Ohio. We are going to be talking today about, both of us have experiences of moving and healing through our divorces and moving into new relationships and how our body image is tied into that. So I know for me and for some women that I've coached with and worked with, we've all kind of had this moment of panic after we come out of these long-term marriages or even long-term relationships where we've gotten so comfortable in that relationship and being naked and being with that partner that all of a sudden when we realize we are going to be naked in front of someone else, we're going to be intimate with a new person. It's like, oh shit. And every imperfection about our bodies seems to just light up.
Absolutely.
It can be super scary. So I'm actually going to let you, Marcy, start by telling your story and any sort of advice you want to share, and then I'll just kind of chat back and forth with you when it feels good.
Sure, absolutely. So hi, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is awesome. So I'm currently married, happily married, but I was in a previous relationship that it was really toxic actually. And even though I was really comfortable within the toxicity, as I'm sure many people can kind of relate to. Once I was out of that relationship, it was really scary to think about the body that I was comfortable in a previous relationship with, being with someone else. And so it really took a long time to get used to that, I think. Do you have that same experience?
Yeah, I don't think it took me very long, maybe a couple of months or so, because I'm fairly comfortable being naked anyway.
Sure.
It was
same.
biggest thing was I had a C-section with my first child, and it just very hard thing to get over. And as soon as I realized someone else had to see that scar, it was like, oh my God. So that was my major point. The other thing was we did do the whole traditional have sex in the dark the first few times.
Okay. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Seriously.
So, but I mean, I will say the first time we had sex, I didn't come or anything because I was just fucking panicked.
So focused. Right. You can't focus on your pleasure at all. You're only focused on what does this look like? How is this feeling? What does it look like for the other person to be looking at me?
Should I be on the top or the bottom?
Right. There are no flattering positions. Really at all.
Absolutely.
I feel probably from behind is maybe the most flattering position. And even that is a super vulnerable space to be in. So.
You mean doggy style?
Yeah.
I don't think that I could have done that my first sexual experience out
Right, exactly. It's so vulnerable, even though that's probably the most flattering position. Ass up is basically everything else is being hidden. So,
as long as you're not in front of a mirror.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, I just feel it took a while for me to, I don't know, be comfortable. I had just I've grown up with not a very great body image. My mom was always dieting, so I just felt my body wasn't good enough from the very beginning, and I feel a lot of people can relate to that. And so getting into a sexual relationship that wasn't very mentally or emotionally healthy made me feel even worse about that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And when you talk about getting into the sexual relationship, are you talking about your marriage, or are you talking about the relationship, your first sexual relationship after marriage?
So my first real committed relationship.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So even pre-marriage. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So this is actually my first marriage that I'm in now. I wasn't married before. But I mean, if you say divorce, like I have a child with him, so
Oh,
it's,
I'm
I
so
mean, it was
sorry.
really serious. That's okay. Totally okay. Not a big deal at all. So yeah, that previous relationship with my daughter's father, it was just like it was very toxic. So even though I felt comfortable within the parameters of that relationship, being that like we had been together for like 6 years at that point. So I feel like consistency makes you familiar, makes you feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So even though it was toxic, it like I was so comfortable. And then being with my now husband, that transition was really interesting because he was so different, in all ways. So like the way he viewed my body, the way that he approached sex, the way that he like took care of me was so different, and I wasn't used to that. So it just took a long time for me to get used to it. I would say, like, we've been together for 10 years, and even only recently do I feel super comfortable, like, with my eyes open, if that makes sense.
Yeah, actually, just a second. Can you move your phone a little bit? You sound muffled.
Oh, do I? I'm sorry.
There, you don't now. So thank
Okay,
you.
cool.
I want to hear more about that. What do you
Okay.
mean with eyes open?
Okay. So, how do I get into this even?
Do you not want to go there?
No, no, I'm totally open to it.
Okay.
Um, so I'm recently in yoga teacher training, and I'm learning like a lot more about tantra and just like getting into a better relationship with like being in my body and experiencing sensations. And so because I'm more open to that, I've started kind of playing around more with it during sex.
So
So
to me, that sounds like deeper intimacy.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And it's like we're at the 10-year mark now. So it's taken that long to get there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean our sexual relationship has always been wonderful. It's always been very consensual. It's always been very comfortable. Um, but like now it's taken that long for us to get to that point where we can really like play around with that and be curious about trying different stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know I was gonna go there. That's kind of fun.
Okay. Well, I'm going to share a little bit about mine as you say that
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
when I was in my marriage, I was not having as much sex as I wanted to be having. I wasn't having the kind of sex I wanted to be having or anything. And so part of my like kind of I think this is true even if you're just getting out of a serious relationship. There's kind of like this transition period where you like get ready to leave. Sometimes you don't even know you're getting ready to leave, but you like start to heal and grow. And eventually there's just so much
Oh,
disconnection that you
absolutely.
move on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when I was in that last few years of the marriage and I was just like, how can I be happy and what can I do and stuff? That's when, because I couldn't get him to participate at the level that I wanted and needed,
Mhm.
I dove into like learning through coaches and other things and then using solo sex. So
Yes.
masturbating to really like figure it all out and feel it. So by the time I called in my next relationship after the marriage, um it was already that leap. So what was really
Okay.
helpful about it was the guy that I moved into the relationship with, I think similar to what you're saying, is like he had a totally different perspective on my body. I had a
Right.
mom body. I was terrified. I hadn't dated since I was 18 years old.
Right.
And now all of a sudden I had a mom body that had stretch marks and saggy skin and
Mhm.
a cesarean scar and like thighs and shit, you know?
Like you
I
weren't
was
a
like,
child anymore.
I wasn't a child anymore. And you know what else is funny about that? This is just a side tangent. Like
Sure.
I was nervous because I don't completely shave myself bald down there.
Okay.
I manicure it. I'm good to go, but I don't shave it bald because to me there's some sort of, and this can be wrong, whatever, but there's some sort of connection that like girls, pubescent
Yeah,
girls
right.
are bare down there. I don't want to be
Right.
bare because I'm a fucking adult. Like,
Right. Yeah, no.
and
I'm 100% wild. I don't tame anything. I don't shave anything. So
okay.
I don't even shave my legs.
Well, good for you.
Yeah,
I actually love the feeling of the smoothness, so I'm okay with
I get
shaving
that.
and that sort of stuff. But anyway, I was nervous because I was like, oh my God, I don't know what these guys want. And I think that's where the problem is like, we get so nervous putting our, do I want to say like power or what? Like we give them all the power and all the
Mhm.
perception of what are they going to think is beautiful? What are they going to think is sexy? What are they going to find acceptable and not acceptable? And I don't think that's the energy you can come to the relationship in. I
Right.
think you need to find a way to be confident enough to come to it like, I am sexy. I'm happy with the way I've manicured my body. I'm happy with the food I'm putting into my body. I'm happy with the exercise I'm doing and the clothing I'm wearing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all of that has to come from you first. And if that means that he doesn't like it, then that's not the guy you should be having sex with anyway.
Exactly.
Because there's totally a guy out
Exactly.
there that will love it.
And I don't think that that's like prioritized throughout our lives. We're always looking outside of ourselves, right?
Yes.
So it's so important for you to like be able to come into a relationship, even just a sexual experience, being able to own yourself completely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I had a really good experience there with that first relationship because he was able to help me
Mhm.
love and accept myself more.
Mhm.
And it was really fun because he knew I was a coach and that I was working on this sort of stuff. So I was able to come to him and be like, hey, you know what? I actually have a lot of trouble reaching climax because this is what's going on in my mind. This is what I'm
Yeah.
working through, you know? And like,
Yeah.
this is how you can help me, or is there any way you can help me, or what, just so that he knew like what's happening in the bedroom is wonderful between the two of us, but I'm also working through some stuff. So if you notice anything, it's not you. Let's
Right.
have a conversation about it. And that was so helpful for me because I did have a period of time after my divorce and
Mhm.
then into that first sexual relationship where like I couldn't reach climax. I had so much slut shaming and stories built up in my
Mhm.
mind around the fact that I couldn't be having sex outside of marriage. And even though I was legally divorced, I was energetically still felt married to this person. Like I made this promise, I made this commitment. You can't just legally separate.
Right.
I just had all this bullshit in my head that I was still working through.
How did
But it
you
was this.
get through that? Was it just in communicating with your partner, or how were you doing like the work for yourself?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was working with a coach. That way I had somewhere to unload all of this and like kind of organize it. So
Okay. Yeah.
once I would get it all out and she would be like helping me see the patterns and helping me say, okay, well, this is where we can start to take action.
Mhm.
Then if there was any parts of that that my partner could help me with, I would take the conversation back to him and we would discuss how it would work out there. A
For
lot
sure.
of it a lot of it came down to like the journaling and energy work and normal stuff we see in the coaching industry,
Mhm.
and also solo play. So my solo sex was a huge part of it, and I had to like get out of my head and into my body, which is huge because like when you're in your head, you're in your masculine energy and you're
Yeah.
doing, and you
Yep.
can really get into like forcing things, and you cannot force an orgasm.
Yeah.
You
100%.
you
Which
can't.
makes me want to ask you, how do you feel about toys? How do you feel about like vibrators?
I fucking love them, and I'm
Do you?
totally okay.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yes. I can do it either way, but I
Okay.
tell you what, most of the time I do not have the patience for my fingers.
Okay. That's
How
what
do
I
you feel?
wondered. That's what I wondered. Okay, so in my experience, like a vibrator made me like less sensitive to my touch and my partner's touch. And so I felt like I needed to stop using it so that I could really be there and not rush it.
Okay, so I haven't noticed less sensitive to a partner's touch. I guess
Okay.
for me, being with a partner is so much different than
Mm-hmm.
using my vibrator. But I will agree, like, I do not use my vibrator. Like, I will not use it every day. And I
Yeah.
purposefully do not continue to turn up the vibration, because I do feel like you get more and more used to that vibration
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
desensitized to it. So I won't, and I have different ones so that it's kind of like a different
Different sensation.
sensation.
That makes
Yeah,
sense.
hitting you in a different area, like that sort of stuff.
Right.
So yeah, I can totally see that, but I'm also totally okay with using toys with a partner and everything.
Mm-hmm. It can definitely
Um,
be fun, for sure.
mhm. Yeah. I actually, in another podcast, I'm going to share a super hilarious story. I'm
Ooh. Why
maybe
not now?
maybe I'll have you back just so that we can chat together. Oh my God, because it needs to be a whole episode of its own.
Okay.
But
Okay.
just to seed it so that you'll come back for it. It's totally about the time that I lost a butt plug. Like,
Oh,
oh shit. Like,
what?
this is something I have to know about.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have to hear that story.
Yes. But I totally agree. So we were talking about like coming back into your body,
Yeah.
and how did I work through that? And a lot of it was like even practicing outside of the bedroom. So outside
Okay.
of my sexuality, coming back into my body. So some things that I personally enjoy are like, you need to start using your five senses, right, to get back into your body.
Yeah.
So taste is one of my favorite ways. I
Mm.
love chocolate. And so it was about,
Mm-hmm.
instead of like just having dessert after dinner and rushing through it or whatever, because that's what I get, it was about having like a little Dove chocolate and sucking on it and shutting my eyes and enjoying it and really tasting it. And it wasn't like I had to spend 5 minutes doing that. It was just not tossing it in my mouth while I'm doing something else, chewing it up and going about my day. It was stopping and spending that 20, 30 seconds, tasting it and feeling it melting in my mouth.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's
It was,
that's that's kind of like what I've been learning about, really, like with tantra, is just like the sensations that you experience every day really fully being in your body during those things is
it
practice.
enlivens you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really does. It's
I
and
totally
even
agree.
even sight, like if you're looking at something beautiful like a flower and just like really being there while you're looking at it and noticing all the different things about it. That even can be like a really sensual experience.
Yes, for sure. I have this wonderful picture of my son that I just love, and it's from when he was 2 years old. We were on vacation and we had been at the zoo, and it was the end of the day. I was so tired and so hot. I had been
Mm-hmm.
carrying both of the kids because, of course, they both wanted me and not their
Oh
dad.
my god. Oh
I
my
was
god.
so like just defeated and like trying to leave the zoo. And I
Yeah.
finally said, like, I can't carry you anymore. I have to put you down. I
Mm-hmm.
sat him down. And as we were leaving the zoo, there was this huge planter that was low to the ground. So just his height as a toddler. And he just
Yeah.
walked up and put his face right up in the flowers and started smelling them. And I was like,
Aww.
that's so precious. And it's like such a good reminder. I mean, we have the saying, stop and smell the flowers. And he like
Right.
literally did it. And it was
Did
just,
that.
it was the
What?
sweetest thing in the world. And it's things like that that bring you
Mm-hmm.
back into the moment and bring you back into your body.
Yeah. We're like so disconnected from our bodies. Just like you were saying, being in your masculine and being in your head all the time, like that's how we exist and that's what is celebrated in our culture.
Mm-hmm.
But like you don't just live in a head, like you have an entire body. That's how you connect with life. And just connecting back to that over and over again throughout your day is like such a huge part of like being able to come back to that again in those like more intimate moments.
Absolutely. And it is intimacy. And I don't think a lot of people really understand what the word intimacy means. And I know that there's different ways to define it. But
Mm-hmm.
to me, like, it is being completely comfortable, being fully seen and fully
Yeah.
acknowledged in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many of us, like you said, are either spun out into our minds or even more challenging is people leave their bodies, and a lot of people don't even recognize that they've left their body because there's too much trauma. There's too much happening that they can't handle, and they just like their spirit just leaves their body and it's like, whoop, don't want to experience this.
Right, like tapping out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know how much you've learned with Tantra because it's, you know, like you said, you're learning it through the yoga lens. I have studied with a tantric sex coach.
Okay.
I've done it through the sex lens, but I've also learned about it because I do feng shui. I'm a feng shui consultant.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So how is it related in that way? What?
So how is it related?
Honestly, I think no matter which way you're looking at it, it's about using the five senses to bring yourself back into your body, into the present moment.
Okay.
One of the things I loved from Tantra, as far as sex goes, is called tantric union breathing. Have you heard of it?
I have. My husband and I actually just did some work with a coach too, and we did that, and that was really powerful.
Hugely, I loved it. I did it with when I was with my ex-husband, we did it together.
Okay.
And that's when I learned it. And it was interesting because he avoided it. He didn't want to do it. But the first few times we did it, like, it's so powerful. Like, you're staring. So for anybody who doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, explain it.
Sitting down, facing each other, and you have your hands, like, on your partner, and then your partner has their hands on you. So you're holding each other's chest, basically. And you're breathing in and out. He matches his breathing to you. And you're staring into each other's eyes at the same time. Once your breathing, would you say syncopates or whatever? Syncopates? Okay.
Yeah.
Using some fancy $5 words here. Once you get that connection, then he counts to 21 breaths. All you're doing is sitting there and he's leading. And then he'll say that you're done when you're done, and you can connect however you want when you're done. If that means kissing, hugging, whatever, or going into sex, that's fine. But it's just meant to bring you back into the moment and connect to each other. And it was really hard to maintain that eye contact. There were times when we cried. There were times when we got to laughing really hard. Yeah. I remember like laughing and like then farting and then being like, oh my God, I just farted next to him and we're like naked and we should be having sex here soon. And like, it brings out everything.
Yes. Like it's a place of like sincere vulnerability.
Yes. I love it. I love it so much. I felt like, how did you feel? So I felt like if we did that first, the sex was so much better. Even if it didn't last longer or we did anything different, we're there together.
Yeah. We actually didn't have sex afterward. It was like part of a training. And so we didn't have sex afterward, but we definitely felt like hugely connected afterward.
Yes.
Really strong connection.
So yeah, so that's one way. Then we were talking about, I think how we got onto all of this was intimacy and then coming back into the moment and being in our bodies, because we were kind of talking about like, how do we get comfortable with all of that? And I was saying, I gave the example of the Tantra stuff, right? We just talked about that, but I gave the example of the chocolate. Like other ways though is dance.
Ooh,
like things like exercise. It can be exercise too. But what I love about dance is that it helps bring you into your feminine because, well, I mean, I guess technically it can be choreographed, but I'm talking about the kind of dance where you just turn up your favorite music and you dance either with someone or alone, right? Free flowing. And that's the thing, is like it's free flowing. And so it just brings you back into your body, into the moment, and it takes away all the rules and structure and stuff. Because that structure and that container is a masculine thing, and we're trying to get out of that and feel that freedom and that flow. And so that was another big thing, was for me to, and what was interesting was I had trouble even getting comfortable doing that alone. I remember thinking like, oh my God, what if somebody has a camera here? Or what if somebody knocks on the door and sees me through the window? Or like,
somebody delivers a
weird, right?
package. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it does take a lot of work, and that's why I think it was so powerful. I think it's so powerful to work with a coach, and why I do coaching is because like these things are big and hugely
Mm-hmm.
impactful, but it
And you
takes
need
a lot of
support.
work to look through them. Yeah.
Yeah, you need that
And to
support.
see
You
it
just
all
need somebody to be
honestly.
like, you just need somebody to be like, yes, this is like totally okay. This is normal. You're safe to do this. And yeah, so that you're allowed to. Like, it gives you permission to.
Absolutely. And as much as we shouldn't need permission, we just do. So, like, get over
Mm-hmm.
it and allow yourself to
Right.
ask for the permission. Just
Right.
find the people
And
that'll give
also
you
to
the
receive
permission.
help. Also to receive that help.
Yes.
Because like you just don't have like each of us individually, like we might know this stuff inherently, but like we aren't doing it. So just having somebody there that can help you to be like, yeah, you do know what to do. Do it. Can
Yes.
be huge.
Someone that can see your power and your beauty and all that
Mm-hmm.
sort of stuff and reflect it to you, because you have to have those moments of breaking down, especially through a divorce and through breakups and stuff like that. You have to be able to be raw and honest with your emotions, because if all you're doing is going, okay, well, I feel like shit, but I can't go back to him, and whatever
Right.
story you're spinning out in, like, you're in your mind and you're suppressing all those feelings and you're not feeling them, you're not acknowledging them, and that all just fucks with you the rest of your life. But if you can work with someone, whether it's a coach or a therapist or something like that, you get to say that all out loud,
Right.
and you get to process and release all of that while they take the time to hold the container and use the mind to connect everything for you and help you see the patterns and help you find how you move forward.
Right. I think it
So you
really is a
actually
balance of
heal.
that. It's a balance of that structure and allowing yourself to be free to flow.
Yes, definitely. Well,
We've talked about
I'm
so much. I don't know
I
if we
know.
talked about what we initially intended to talk about, but I love it.
Yeah, well, kind of. We talked about, so we were getting together to talk about like body image and getting comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
having sex with a new partner and stuff like that.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah,
we
we did
definitely
go,
did it.
yeah, we definitely kind of went off maybe on a tangent or something, but we talked about how important it was to have confidence and to bring that power back into you, into your own body,
Mm-hmm.
instead of giving that power away to the other person. Because I think that's where, at least for me, that's where like all of the fear and anxiety came up, was when I was worried about what he was thinking and what
Yeah.
he was okay with and what he approved. And you can't go there, because otherwise
Right.
you're living for someone else. Like, you need to be in alignment.
Right. And all of the things that we talked about are just practices that you can get back into alignment with yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up here then, if you're good with
Awesome.
that.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So, everyone who's listening, thank you so much for joining us on the Peachy Pussy podcast today. For more fun between episodes, you can join the conversation in our Facebook group, The Peachy Pussy, Living with Pleasure, Passion, and Purpose. And if you'd like to get in contact with Marcy, I'm going to be putting her, I was about to say email address. I'm going to be putting her website address in the description for this episode. So it's there, but it's the Coterie. Excuse me, don't put the before it. It's www.CoterieColumbusBoudoir.com. And you
Yeah.
can get in touch with her there. She does boudoir photo sessions. She does yoga. Like, what else do you want to say? Anything else that you do?
So right now I'm in yoga teacher training and I'm becoming a trauma certified yoga instructor. And I also do coaching through self and body love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can reach out and get to know more about her work there. She hasn't pitched it here in this podcast, but I will for her. She has a Facebook group with that. And I love it. And it's very empowering. I'm in it myself. So
Thank
definitely
you.
check that out too. Yeah, you're welcome.
The link to the group is on my website.
Okay, so you
So you
can
can find
join
it
from
there.
there. All right. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you for joining us.